What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the newest episode of Nerd Vibes, Season 2, Episode 3. And per the usual, from these last two episodes in the Season 2 format, we are going to be starting with the Media Minute. And the first thing I want to talk about, Media Minute, is this week we didn't do any reading. Okay, so I don't have any books or anything like that. I know I said I was going to read my Green Lantern comic, but I didn't. I'm going to save the Green Lantern talk for next episode. That's going to be on the One Big Thing next episode. We're going to do a big Green Lantern based episode because there has been a little bit of controversy surrounding the live action, but we'll save that for next week. So this week is going to be very one specific media focused, which is we watched a bunch of stuff. And first thing I want to start off with is Blue Lock. All right, we watched Blue Lock. I'm really excited about this show. This episode didn't really have too much in it besides our main character Isagi trying to figure out his place with all these other top level soccer players that he's in the game with right now. Not too much to talk about because I didn't want to get really spoilery, but it was a very good episode. There was a lot of technical stuff and Isagi trying to figure out where he fits among these other top players. And just from like a competition standpoint, I was very intrigued, and I was very happy watching the episode. It got me hyped because there was some of the other characters besides our main characters did some really cool things, and just watching that show continues to like bring the competitive fire out in me. It's always the last thing I watch before I record just because it gives me so much energy. And I'm glad that, Blue Lock is back and we're watching it, and it's just a very fun time. So I wanted to start off with that because it gets the energy going. It gets the energy flowing, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just very happy watching that show. I'm happy it's back in my life, and it gives me some sort of sense of competition, and I love a good underdog story, and that's what our main character is. He's a very big underdog. In this episode, he was getting treated very badly by some of the other players, and he's getting crap talk to him, and the other players are trying to get in his head and all this other stuff, and he's just trying to figure it out and trying to figure out where he can fit in this team, and it's just amazing to watch. So I'm glad we started out there. Next thing I wanted to talk about is unfortunately One Piece. All right, we haven't talked about One Piece in season 2 yet, but we watched the two most recent episodes, and they were really good. We got moments from Luffy's grandfather Garp, from Kobe, one of Luffy's earliest friends that he met in the season, in the show's history, one of the earliest people he met. A lot of different character development moments. One story I wanted to share was one of the lessons that Garp told to Kobe and to the other recruits was he said, you're on a boat and you're going to an island, and this island has a baby and an old man on it, and they're surrounded by dangerous animals, and you can only take one person on the boat. You take, right? So Kobe said, oh, I know, I'll stay on the island and give the boat to the old man and the baby. And Garp said, no, stupid, you leave the old man. And the other people in the room were like, what? That's crazy. And then, but once you get the explanation, it makes so much sense. Because in his mind, he's like, the old man lived his life. You and the baby have so much potential to still achieve that you should save yourself and the baby. And what that said to me is that, like, in that situation, you save the present and then you save the future. The past is the past. It is what it is. And it's unfortunate because Garp is an old man, but that lesson came back at the end of the episode the second episode when Garp was trying to save the people. When Garp was trying to save the people, he got Kobe saved. He got all the civilians saved. All his other Marines that he brought with him to save Kobe were all saved. And he was like, "You guys have to leave me." And at first they didn't really want to, but then they thought back to that lesson that he told them. They were like, "You know what? We have to do this. We don't want to leave him, but based on the things that he told us as our mentor, we have to leave him." With Garp telling his students, Kobe in particular, to leave him behind, it was a great full circle moment. Um, uh, Back to the lesson that he taught them initially. And it was also a emotional episode because Garp was fighting his former pupil, who you could tell at the end of the episode had some emotional um, torment about what he had to do to his former master. So there was really good episode, but the bad news is the One Piece anime is going on a hiatus. We're not getting any new episodes until I want to say April or May of 2025 because the manga needs time to kind of build a lead, so to speak, and B, they're doing, in place of that, they're doing an air-bridged uh, Fishman Island arc, so it's going to be a shorter, more condensed Fishman Island arc. With when they come back, then we're going to be continuing the Egghead arc and then going on to Elbaf, which is where we're at in the manga right now. So a little bit of bad news, but it was a great 2 episodes to leave off on, so to speak. The next thing I want to talk about is I mentioned last week where I started doing this book called The Artist Way to help unlock my hidden creativity potential. And one of the things you had to do for the as your assignments, which can I just say, there are so many assignments. When my wife was telling me, "Hey, you got to do this, 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 and this," I was like, "Dude, I did not think this was going to be like an actual like assignment school type situation, but it is." So I'm trying to adjust to it because I'm not a big fan of school. I don't like school, um, but I'm willing to do what it takes to become a better content creator, better podcaster, better person. So one of the assignments is to take yourself on an artist date, which is you take yourself on a date that hopefully inspires you creatively to do something, going further. So what I did was I took myself to a movie. The movie was Transformers 1, the animated one, and I went there solely for the purpose of listening to the voice acting because that is something that I want to do later on, or not later on in life, soon, is become a voice actor. I think it'd be something that would suit me really well. I feel like I have the emotional tones. My voice is varied enough to where I can portray different emotions and things of that nature. So it was a very cool way to watch a movie because I know the story of Transformers. Megatron, Optimus. They were best friends initially, and then they had a split in ideals, and that led them to be Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots, and Megatron, leader of the Decepticons. And that's kind of where a lot of people know those two characters to be at. So I kind of knew the origin of the story. So I wasn't going in there expecting anything new. So it was very easy for me to just focus on the voice acting. And I wanted to say like, that movie was really, really good for the voice acting. It shows the actors that played Megatron and Optimus, you can tell throughout the movie how their voices change based on where they're at in the movie. And then once they fully realize their characters of Megatron and Optimus Prime, you can tell how their voice has changed from beginning to the end of the movie. And it was just a really good time watching the movie in that way, in a more analytical sense, to kind of get something out of it more so than just entertainment. So it was really cool. I will keep you guys updated on the artist's way and the artist dates and things like that. Um, there's also some other assignments that they're supposed to be doing that are a little bit more personal to me that I won't share. But some stuff that I feel comfortable sharing, I will share it here. Because, again, I'm trying to be open and honest and become a better content creator, better podcaster, better overall human being. So going through this course is something that I look forward to. I am a little resistant to the amount of work that I have to do for this, but it just takes discipline, time management, and willingness to let yourself be vulnerable when it comes to these types of things that are asking you to analyze and look at yourself and look at other things that are maybe hindering your creative process as a person. So just wanted to update you guys on that. Transformers 1, by the way, outside of the voice acting and the reason I went there, it was a great movie. It was really well animated, well done. The story was, um, it was what it was. Like I said, I'm very familiar with the origin stories of all the characters involved, so it wasn't anything surprising in that way. But very good movie. Story was great, um, and I liked how they did it. Because it's very hard to tell a story that everybody already knows. You know what I mean? Like, how many times can you tell Batman's origin story before people are like, we don't really want to see this? So they did it really well, and outside of the voice acting, it was a great movie to watch by myself. Last thing I want to talk about in the media minute, and then it's going to go right into the one big thing, is we just watched the first episode of Dragon Ball Daima, and the thing I want to say about this show is it's already piqued my interest. Okay, I wasn't super excited for it based on the trailers and all the information that we got ahead of the release, because I thought it was just a little kid, like kind of kiddish, because Goku is a kid again. Vegeta and Piccolo, all kids again. And I didn't know if I was gonna like the tone of the show. But in this first 30-minute episode, we got so much information just on the world of Dragon Ball that it got me hooked. We got more information on the demon realm, which was never touched on really in the anime, outside of the Majin Buu arc briefly, which that's how they introduced the demon realm. They went back and reminded us, oh yeah, this character was the king of the demon world when he showed up in the anime. And then, just other different things. We got the reveal that the Namekians are not aliens, but they're actually a race of people from the demon realm, which is crazy. It gives a whole nother layer to everything that happened in Dragon Ball Superhero, the movie, with Piccolo getting his new form as Orange Piccolo and all that, and Gohan becoming Beast Gohan, because there's theories out there that he's drawing from energy from the demon world, which is what fueled his transformation to Beast Gohan. So I was really, really intrigued just by the lore and everything that was dumped in this episode, because they did a lot in a very short amount of time. And I'm excited for what we have going forward with this new show, especially since it's the last thing that Akira Toriyama worked on before he passed, unfortunately. So I was definitely going to watch it regardless, just because of respect for him and his creations. Um, but it is definitely great that we got a lot of lore, and it set up the story great to move forward and explore this world of Dragon Ball that we've never really explored. So I'm very very excited about where we're going in that show, and that brings me to the one big thing. All right, so our one big thing today is just gonna be Dragon Ball in general, the impact it's had on society, uh, different types of media, other anime that it's had its influence on, and then we're gonna wrap it up with the influence that Dragon Ball has had on me personally. Because as you can see behind me, we have a bunch of Dragon Ball. Like right here is just these are all just Dragon Ball Funko Pops. You know what I'm saying? This is my Beast Gohan statue. We got the Vegeta right there. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm rocking the Majin Vegeta shirt, which is that's who's in the picture right there. Majin Vegeta, one of my favorite Vegetas. We got the wrong side, the Capsule Corp on the side. You know what I mean? So Dragon Ball just means a lot to me, and again, I mentioned it when we talked about Daima. You know, I had to watch it because I have so much respect for Akira Toriyama and the characters he's created. But when I was looking at it, because I said last week, I don't know what the one big thing was going to be, and the more I thought about it, I just I kept going back to Dragon Ball because it was just like there's the new anime came out, the video game Sparking Zero came out, and it is a hit. You know, people love it. It is. I've been playing it pretty much anytime I can. It's a lot of fun. It gives you so many. There's so many different avenues in which Dragon Ball has touched people's lives. Okay, and we're gonna start with the societal impact. And societal wise, I feel like there's so many different characters in Dragon Ball that you can relate to. You can relate to Gohan because if you relate to Kid Gohan, you can relate to his trauma when he was a kid, losing his father so many times. By so many times, his dad died. Goku died like 3 times when he was a kid. You know, um, him being forced to fight in all these different interactions with all these different enemies when he's 10, 11, 12 years old, maybe, and he doesn't necessarily want to fight. He doesn't necessarily want to be put in those positions, but he has to. So you kind of like, as a kid, this is why I resonated with Gohan. So we're getting into a little bit of the personal, but whatever. Just because he had so much responsibility from a young age, and his father was absent. It's one of the big jokes in Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball realms, is that Goku's a bad father because he has 2 kids and he's never around. He's always training, or he's dead, or he's off in some other galaxy or dimension or whatever doing his thing, and his kids are just there with his wife. And when he is there, all he's doing is eating and training. So he's kind of an absentee father. So I kind of related on that level. And then you have Vegeta, who went from an evil like villain to transitioning to one of the greatest heroes in the show, and he's in a lot of ways the opposite of Goku, being a great father, a great husband. He does train and stuff a lot, but he's very attentive to his kids. He's more so that stern, fatherly presence with his kids. So I looked up to Vegeta for that, being like a good father and kind of an example of what you should be or could be as a dad when I did want kids. And then you have Piccolo, who is the stepfather, or the father that stepped up for Gohan, because he trained Gohan, and he was there a lot when Goku wasn't around, which is why Gohan has a much stronger relationship with Piccolo than he does with his own father. So there's that aspect. Then you have the strong female presence of Bulma, who is a genius scientist. She's beautiful. She's married to Vegeta. You know what I'm saying? She's outspoken, opinionated. She has a lot of great qualities. She's a really good mom as well. She has a bunch of great qualities as a female character. And you have a bunch of other ancillary characters. You have Krillin, who is retired as a fighter for the most part. He's a police officer now. He's married, has a kid. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and you've seen characters literally from kids, Goku and Krillin in the Dragon Ball series, grow up to be the people that they are today in the Dragon Ball Super and now the Dragon Ball Daima series. So it's really crazy the impact that they've had on society. There's memes everywhere for Dragon Ball Z that's in pop culture all the time. You have there's not a lot of people in this world who don't know who Goku is. Just Goku. You know, there's not a lot of people in the world who don't know the Kamehameha for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, people know it. It's You may not know where it's from, but you've heard it before. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I mean by its societal impact. You have uh, all these different characters that mean different things to people, and it's just crazy that this anime, specifically the anime, started with Dragon Ball in the late '80s, so before I was even born, and it's still going on today. Is just crazy with the longevity. And then I want to talk about some of the anime and other media that have taken from Dragon Ball. I watched a video earlier where you have references to Dragon Ball in the MCU. You have it in Cartoon Network shows. You have it in other anime where they're outright doing the moves, or they're paying uh, homage, or they're using it satirically. You know what I'm saying? So there's so many different ways that this particular property has just infiltrated the popular culture. There's Fortnite skins in in Dragon Ball skins in one of the most popular games of all time, and people love that, and it's crazy. I have some of the skins myself, you know, um, because I play Fortnite and I love Dragon Ball, so I had to get some of the skins, and then like I said, with the impact that we have right now with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, this game is taking off like crazy. People are playing it. It was more pre-ordered than the latest Call of Duty game, which is insane. My TikTok feed is all different like tips and tricks and people uploading their clips of their fights and all these different things. So you have so much legacy that this anime and property and Akira Toriyama has put forward. You know, the voice actors for Dragon Ball are like insanely famous. Because they have stuck with this role for so long. One of the main people, Sean Schemmel, is the English voice actor. I believe I said his name right, for Goku. He's been voicing Goku for over a decade, I would say. More than that, probably. And then just the anime that have spawned from Dragon Ball. And I mean, when I say from Dragon Ball, it's not like a carbon copy or anything like that, but you have the big three, of Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. Those three anime that are called the big three don't come if Dragon Ball doesn't come first. You know what I'm saying? And people leave Dragon Ball out of the big three because it's its own thing. You know what I'm saying? The big three, but Dragon Ball is above the big three. And then you have all these other ones that are branched off of those. But anime or Dragon Ball was the first, in my opinion, anime to cross over in into the larger culture of Americans watching it. Like I said, I told the story on here before that I was watching it on some random channel in when they were speaking Japanese with no subtitles. That's how locked in I was. I didn't know what they were saying, but I could feel the emotion of what was going on. And I don't think that there's another anime out there that could do that. You know, One Piece has the longevity. It has all of those things that's going for it right now. But I don't think if One Piece came before Dragon Ball that it would have the same impact that Dragon Ball had on the culture. You know, uh, there's just so many things, and I feel like I'm rambling because I've said a lot of this stuff before, but um, I just wanted to talk about Dragon Ball, just full stop, because I'm I'm enjoying Dragon Ball again. You know, uh, it's fun going through the game and having the scenarios where you can play the story as it played out, or you can do different things that change the story. And it's so fun just to explore fan theories, basically, of what would happen if Goku turned Super Saiyan against Vegeta instead of Frieza. What would happen if Goku stopped Cell from absorbing the androids before he became perfect? And we can get those answers. We can get those answers now, in because of this game. And you know, we're getting a lot of characters that everybody wanted. We're getting a lot of just things that people have wanted with Dragon Ball for so long, and it comes, unfortunately, after Akira Toriyama has passed, and he's not able to see how popular his creation still is, how just magical, and how this game in particular has brought people together. The new show is a hit. It's a banger. I love it, and I'm just, you know, glad that I got to sit here and just ramble and talk about Dragon Ball in my one big thing, because it was a big thing for me, and it is still a big thing for me. Um, you know, like I said earlier, I identified with Gohan as a kid, being someone who didn't grow up with a father. You know, I identified heavily with Gohan in that way, having to deal with the responsibility of being the oldest son. You know, I wasn't the oldest kid, but being the oldest son, having the responsibility of having to take care of my little brother, just like Gohan did when he became older and was in school, you know, and trying to balance school with being a good big brother, with being, at the time, the strongest person on earth. You know, I didn't have to deal with being the strongest person on earth, but I did have a lot of responsibilities. I had to take care of my little brother, you know, when my mom was out working and stuff like that. I had to, you know, balance school and sports, you know, and I was that person that had to have all those responsibilities. So at the time, growing up until, you know, probably my early to mid 20s, Gohan was the only character that I loved, you know. And as I've said before, as you get older and you start to look back on some of these anime and you start to look at it with a more mature eye, I saw the character progression and the character arc of Vegeta, and Vegeta is now my second favorite character in Dragon Ball. I keep getting, I think I have eyelash in my eye. Okay. But he's my second favorite character in Dragon Ball. You know, he started out as a arrogant, prideful person. You know, I'm the prince of all Saiyans. I'm 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 an elite. When he first met Goku, he was calling Goku a low class scum and like all this stuff, and then he gets beat by Goku, and he has to get humbled, you know, and then he leaves with his tail tucked between his legs, because it got cut off, you know. And then we meet Vegeta again in this in the Frieza saga, excuse me, and he's still arrogant, he's still stubborn, and then he has to get humbled again. He has to ask Goku for help, which for him was gut wrenching. And to see this person who he thought was lower than him ascend to heights that he himself has never ascended to, never even thought were possible, was just very humbling, you know. And then when we meet Vegeta again in what is that, the Cell saga, after, you know, after some time, he's still arrogant, but he's more warming up to the group setting. He's more warming up to his friendly rivalry with Goku. He now starts to look at Goku as more or less an equal. He's still arrogant at times. He's still prideful at times. But the thing that really won Vegeta over as one of my favorite characters was this moment right here that I have on my chest. You know, Majin Vegeta, when he puts on his head because he seeks power, because he felt like he was inferior to Goku, so he let himself be put under control just so he could gain the power boost and fight Goku, and he did it all selfishly, but he also dealt with the consequences of his actions at that point, which was releasing Majin Buu, and he made the ultimate sacrifice in that moment, which was to self-destruct and to try to take himself out with Majin Buu at that time. And you know, there's a great moment in the anime where he just is hugging his son. His son's crying, and he's just letting him know, hey, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And then he, you know, takes his son away, or someone takes his son away. I don't really remember what happened, but his son leaves, and he gives this great speech about sacrifice and pride and all of these things, and then he self-destructs. And at the time, it was a very emotional moment. I cried during that moment because I understood what he was doing, what he thought he thought that this was the only thing that he could do to make up for the mistake that he made in terms of getting himself captured, so to speak, and releasing Majin Buu on the world. You know, and then fast forward to Dragon Ball Super and all of those things. Now he's more so part of the team. He's fully entrenched in the rivalry with Goku. It's a very friendly rivalry now. He still is a great father, still a great husband, and he still does what it takes to do what he has to do to help protect the people he wants to protect. But at the same time, he is cognizant of his responsibilities outside of being a fighter, which is what attracted me to him as an adult, because he understands that he has all these responsibilities to his wife, to his son, but at the same time, he also knows that I still have to protect them, and I still have to keep myself in tip-top shape to not only be the protector that they need me to be, but also so that I can keep up with my rival, because I don't want him to get even further than me in terms of progression. And then we see there's also some like manga stuff where he's starting to reconcile with his past, with how he used to be tyrannical and, you know, kind of a bully and all that stuff, and he's now taking ownership of that past and turning that into an even deeper sense of self, and turning that into his own source of power. You know, where we see what we're starting to see now is all these different characters where they had very similar transformations. Everybody had a Super Saiyan 1, a Super Saiyan 2. You know, him and Goku ascended to Super Saiyan gods and all of that kind of stuff. But now we're starting to see the evolution of these characters to go their separate ways. Like we have Beast Gohan, which is a very unique transformation to him only. We have Goku, who has mastered Ultra Instinct, which is a very unique transformation to him, which is, you know, emblematic of his personality. Very carefree, very, uh, just loose and all that kind of stuff. And then you have Vegeta's specific transformation, which is Ultra Ego, and that's literally taking his ego and turning it into a power, his same pride and turning it into power, his stubbornness and turning it into his own form of transformation, which I feel like is really great. And using their personality traits to fuel their transformation just made me fall in love with these characters even more. So I'm really glad that Dragon Ball is in the spotlight again. We're having a lot of fun with it. I'm glad that the anime came back just in time for One Piece to go on break. So I don't think that those two things are a coincidence, by the way, but I digress. Um, so I'm just glad that I got a chance to really just be a part of this new wave of people that are either discovering Dragon Ball, getting back into Dragon Ball, or people who never left Dragon Ball and are just enjoying where it's at right now. So I'm very glad that I got to be a part of that, and that I'm still a part of that. I'm probably going to finish up this podcast and play Sparking Zero while I'm editing. So, I mean, I just love the game that much, and Dragon Ball is back on top. So I'm glad we got to talk about it in the one big thing today. And next, we're going to look ahead on what's next on the podcast, some of the things we're going to be talking about next week, and some of the episodes coming up. Stay tuned. All right, looking ahead, we are going to be talking about the seasons once they wrap up of Agatha All Along, which is the spinoff of the WandaVision show. If you guys aren't familiar, it's 5 episodes in. It's about Agatha the witch and, her coven and some of the witchy things that they have to do to, get their powers back, basically. It's 5 episodes in right now. I have my thoughts on the show, but I'm going to save them for the end of the season because I feel like this is very much a show that you can't really judge episode to episode because they're so interconnected. And it's one of those things that you have to judge as an entire piece once it's completely finished because, again, they're all interconnected. So one episode that may look like a dud of an episode may turn out to be a very important episode in the grand scheme of the show. So, some things I will touch on: the character designs. I love them. I love the costumes and all the little touches and things that they're putting on the characters to kind of indicate certain things. This is going to be a spoiler free look ahead right now, so I'm also enjoying the character of that Aubrey Plaza is playing. Excuse me. She's just an amazing actress, and I think that this role that she's in, playing a witch, it fits her perfectly. She's beautiful. Let's just be real. So she's not bad to look at. And then you got the actress playing Agatha. I want to say her name's. I don't want to mess it up, but she's beautiful as well. She's doing a great job. The way she's varying her tones. She switched from comedy to serious to scary to kind of villainous, all in like the drop of a hat. And I think that's just amazing work as an actress to be able to wear all those hats in the same episodes. Sometimes it's just a feat, and I won't let anyone tell me different. But like I said, I think that to judge the whole show episode by episode is a little bit unfair. So when the season is over, we're on episode 5, and I believe there's 8 to 10 episodes total. But when the show is over, we will do probably a one big thing on Agatha All Along and just talk about it, talk about the season, talk about the developments, where we go from here, maybe have a larger MCU kind of connective story that we can see, like, okay, based on this show, this character may go here, do this type of thing. Um, but again, to be fair, I want to wait until the uh, season is over. But to be clear, I am having a lot of fun watching this show. It's 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 fun. It's fun. At the very least, it's fun. Next thing I want to talk about, something I haven't watched yet because I want to watch it with my wife, and she has like a limit on how many shows she can watch at a certain amount of time. So, um, and I think this show is going to be really juicy for us to dive into, especially because she's more on the like villainous side in terms of characters that she likes when it comes to comic book or comic book properties. So that show is going to be Penguin on Max. It has 3 episodes out right now, and I think that once it gets a little bit more episodes, we're gonna probably dive a little bit deep into watching that. It's basically like a mobster type show. If you're familiar with the Penguin and the Batman villain, the Penguin, it's from my understanding. Again, I haven't seen it. From my understanding, it's showing how he goes from a low-level criminal into the persona of the Penguin. So that's very interesting to me. Colin Farrell plays the Penguin, and he disappears in the role. You do not know Colin Farrell at all. He plays his character very, very well. I don't know if his name's Oswald Cobblepot in the show, but that's his comic book name. Um, and then but it's basically a mobster show, and it takes place directly after the events of the first Batman, the Robert Pattinson Batman. So it takes place right after that. So we pick up right where we left off from that movie. That's where that story starts to take place, where the Riddler has flooded Gotham, and now the criminal underworld is now in a sense of flux, and you have the Penguin trying to seize some of that power. So coming up from his low level standing to try to rise up the criminal ranks to become a criminal mastermind. Hopefully, what I understand. But I'm super interested in that because I feel like Batman villains are very, very layered, very complex, and interesting characters. And again, I know my wife is, for better or for worse, on the villain train. She loves villains. I don't understand it, but she does. Maybe that's why we get along, because I like the heroes, she likes the villains. I don't know. But I'm excited to watch the show. Uh, Penguin is one of the, I wouldn't say he's one of the better Batman villains, but he is one of the more misunderstood ones for sure. Sometimes he can get a little campy, with the whole bird puns and everything like that. It doesn't seem like this is where that show is going. This seems like it's a little bit more gritty. Like I said, it's this show in particular is more of a mobster type show more than like a comic book type show, if that makes sense. Um, they haven't, from what I understand, introduced Batman at all. It's like I said, more so dealing with the very specific crime families in Gotham. So, um, excited to watch that. We're definitely gonna talk about that at some point once I start watching it. And then the last thing I want to talk about is next week we are gonna have a discussion about Green Lantern. We're gonna have a discussion about the live action Green Lantern because the final casting for the Green Lantern John Stewart has been made. There's been some controversy about it, and I have some thoughts. I have some thoughts as a Green Lantern fan, as someone who's excited for the live action, excited for the things that are potentially happening in that show. I want to talk about it and talk about the larger conversation that is surrounding that show. So that's going to be what the one big thing is going to be next week, is going to be talking about the Green Lantern live action, and then some of the overall ideas, themes, and concepts uh, around the Green Lantern universe. I have done an episode in season 1 about Green Lantern, but that was just more so the comic book lore, um, and some of the uh, bigger ideas that surround the Green Lantern. But so in the next week's episode, we're going to talk more about the live action, the castings, who is cast as Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, and John Stewart. Um, and we're going to talk about the premise of the live action, and then maybe we'll talk about some of the other, like I said, larger comic book concepts surrounding the Green Lantern core and some of the other cores that exist in the Green Lantern universe. So that's what we're gonna be talking about. One big thing next week. But yeah, that brings us. I did that because it's not a conversation I wanted to have, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. Um, so that's what we're gonna be talking about next week. In the one big thing. So I want to thank everybody for being here. A nice tight episode. Again, I'm trying to keep these uh, episodes short and sweet so that we can continue to put them out weekly. Um, I feel like we're doing a good job so far. We did have some technical difficulties in the last episode. Hopefully we got those cleared up for this episode. Everything looks good on my end, so hopefully we get everything rendered and edited and everything properly to where you guys get a good quality video and audio feed going forward. Hopefully we ironed out all of that stuff so it's not an issue. But I do want to appreciate everyone who watches, who listens, who likes, comments, subscribes. Uh, all support is greatly appreciated. It means a lot to me. Um, I do want to say it's very hard doing this by myself, but again, I wouldn't have it any other way. I just don't feel comfortable with anybody else doing it. And I'm glad that I do have my supporters out there. And to all the people who haven't found me yet, when you find me, I appreciate it. And I love you guys. And I will see you guys on the next episode of Nerd Vibes. Peace.